Hello guys, and it's been a while since my last cosplay video, but today I bring you a completely new cosplay I've been working on for the past month. You'll get to see the whole cosplay from start to finish in just this video alone, so no multiple video series, no cosplay reveal video. You'll see the entire cosplay process in this video alone, so make sure to support this video by liking it, leaving a comment, sharing with friends, and most of all making sure you're subscribed, as that'll allow me the opportunity to put more effort into making singular quality videos for this channel instead of having to prioritise quantity. Now, let's get into the cosplay. So here's what I'm starting with. This is actually my first time documenting a cosplay that's not required any clothes to be made from scratch on YouTube, so this is a new type of footage for me. So the point of this part is to just show what everything looked like before customization. This is the base I'm working with for Shadow. Now, I already know a few people are gonna ask where some of the clothing items are from. Most of this stuff was second-hand on eBay. The shoes, jacket, gold bracelets, and the halter neck shirt were all just second-hand listings from eBay. The jeans I just dug out of my wardrobe. The belt, white gloves, and the wig were from Amazon, and the wig was listed as a Loki wig. As you can see, I was having a hard time with that wig and controlling it and just getting it out of my face. Well, onto customization. I started with the jeans, as I knew they'd be the only part to fully require a sewing machine. I first unpicked the seams of the outer legs up to just above the knee, since I wanted to include Shadow's leg stripes on my cosplay, and as far as seam ripping goes, I'd say I did it pretty fast. Of course, the next thing to do was cut out the red fabric I needed, so I measured the gap in the jeans. Now, if you're following along to this, keep in mind that this red fabric will ultimately alter the width of the trouser leg, so unless you want flared bell bottoms, I'd suggest starting with skinny jeans. With my desired measurements, I marked them onto the folded fabric, and Bonnie decided to have a little mooch at what I was up to. I'll never be free from animals standing all over my projects. Now, I included seam allowance onto my measurements, which is why I'm cutting directly on the line. Never forget your seam allowance, people. I pinned the red fabric to the raw edges and ran that under the sewing machine, and then going back over with an overlock stitch just to keep it all neat. And I just hemmed the bottom of the jeans by hand, and that was adding the stripe into the seam of the jeans. I decided to work on the gloves next, since this was the only other thing that could be customised slightly faster using a sewing machine, and the first thing that needed to go were these wrist straps, since I was going to replace them with red cuffs instead. I made the red cuffs by cutting out a rectangle for each glove, cutting out some wadding half the rectangle's width, sewing the two shorter ends of each rectangle together, doing this thing where I turned it halfway inside with the wadding slice in there, then sealing that up with a ladder stitch, so you end up with this donut thing, and then I just sewn that onto the glove. And here's just me trying it on to see if the red cuff stops the gold bracelet from falling down my arm, which I was pretty good at doing, so yeah. Now, onto the jacket. As you can see, the inside of it was in shambles from a lot of wear, and I didn't want fake leather crust all over my cosplay, so yippee, I had to line this jacket! To make the pattern, I just put the jacket on my dress form inside out and simply traced the shape onto paper. And by the way, I just used the packing paper Amazon throw in their boxes. It's free big paper, why not? Honestly though, this jacket was peeling so bad, it was but I don't wear my cosplays enough for it to be worth buying brand new clothes for full price, especially when they're getting customised. So even though having to cover the damage on this jacket is annoying, I take a lot of pride in being able to upcycle unwanted old clothes and shoes in what's normally a pretty big material demanding craft. Anyway, I cut the patterns out of the same red fabric, all whilst blocking a curious bun from potentially standing on pins, who then decided that the chalk box was in her way. After that, I sewed the lining together by hand first, before sewing it onto the jacket, and with how slow my sewing is here, despite the footage being at ×12 speed, that should give you an idea on how long it took to attach this thing. I was also being careful to not make the needle pierce through the outside of the jacket, because I didn't want the thread to show through the outside. After seeing Keys and Cross's human shadow design, I knew I needed Shadow's logo on the back of this thing, so I marked it out with a white gel pen, and yes, I did film this super late at night, hence the yellow lighting. And it's painting time. So this was the extent of the shoe customization, where I just painted the bottom bit, and whilst I waited for the shoes to dry, I'd switch over to painting the logo on the back of the jacket, and switch back and forth between the two. I don't think I did any more than 5 layers. Now, I did go a bit crazy with the white gel pen, so I had to wipe away any parts the paint didn't cover. And once I felt done with the shoes and logo, I marked where I wanted the arm stripes to be on the sleeves, which was of course followed up with painting them. And here's how it turned out after I'd finished painting them. Now, lucky for me, I already had a rectangle of white fur from when I made my Winter Guardian dress, but alas, I still had to endure the pain of hand sewing long fur onto such an awkward part of the garment. Not fun at all. And yeah, I completely forgot to get a video of what the finished jacket looked like. But anyway, we're not done with fur yet. You thought we'd be done with fur on a humanoid animal cosplay? No, of course not, cause I still intend on this being a hedgehog even without the use of a fursuit. That's right, we're doing ears and a tail for Shadow. Would you guys believe me if I told you I knew how to make cosplay ears and tails before knowing how to use a sewing machine? Well, going back to video commentary, I traced my ear template twice onto a bit of cardboard and cut them out. I used the same paper template to cut out some black fur for the backs of the ears, and whilst I waited for the glue gun to heat up, I made a tail template and cut that out of the black fur too. When the glue was finally hot enough, I glued the black fur to the backs of the cardboard ears, trimmed the fabric a little bit and glued the fur fabric onto the front outer edge of the ears. After that, I cut out triangles for the inner part of the ears from this, I don't know what to call this colour, tell me in the comments, and I glued them into the inside of the ears. I glued the rest of the black fur fabric down so there was no cardboard showing, and then I just started cutting and shaping the fur until I was satisfied with it. Here's how they turned out, and for how I'm going to attach them to my head, I'll be using a cos band. No, this isn't a sponsor, but hey Cosgear, it can be if you want it to be. Anyway, this is basically a magnetic headband, so I just needed to attach magnets to the shadow ears. Speaking of magnets, I need to get more. Jumping over to the tail, I used a blanket stitch to sew it up, and stuffed it with scraps. For how the tail will attach, I decided on using a snap fastener because I lack faith in Velcro, and as I mentioned earlier, I don't really have any magnets left. Anyway, I sewed one side of the snap fastener to the tail and the other to the back of the jeans. So Shadow's wig took the longest to do out of everything you've just watched for the past 9 minutes. Probably because I also live streamed it, but whatever. Now, I really wanted my Shadow cosplay to have slick back hair and have his forehead stripe represented with a widow's peak, So I bought this lace front section from Coscraft UK along with normal wefts in the same colour, and I cut it in half before plucking it into a triangle shape. Now I thought the lace front section was too obvious, so I sewed in some red hair wefts along the original wig line to make it look a bit better. I was getting really annoyed with how much the top bit was moving, so I hairsprayed that down before working on the side bangs, which I wanted to have frame my face. And after a lot of weird cutting and hair straightening and hairspraying, I ended up with this at the front, and oh my god, the background music synced up with that. It was time to work on the back, which here I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with it. I attempted curling it, and let me tell you, I am not used to heat-resistant wigs at all, because I was struggling to straighten this red hair. Straighten it? I mean curl. I'm curling it with straighteners. After a day's rest, I came to my senses and remembered, oh yeah, I still need to add 5 more red bits into this wig. And then I spent a day cutting out and sewing in wefts. Now, I did try to stay true to Shadow's quill pattern by having 2 red sections on either side of the wig and then 1 in the middle. With all the red parts in, I could finally style the back and be done with it. It was mostly random cutting and curling, but I did attempt to keep it fairly symmetrical and make sure the red sections were kept separate from each other. I just kept going until I ended up with whatever this is and hairsprayed the crap out of it. And behold, the grand reveal! Unironically, I think I look so cool. Before editing this, I was worried the cosplay wouldn't be as recognisable as Shadow, but looking at it now, I'm not so concerned. If you also liked how this turned out, do remember to interact with this video by commenting, sharing and subscribing so it will be shown to more people, because I actually have more Sonic characters on my list to cosplay. Try and guess who. Now, what's a cosplay without props? I'll leave the Etsy shop link in the description. And here's without the jacket, got my flippin' twig arms out. I'll also be making a plush of Shadow's Chow, so stay tuned for that, or if you're watching this video quite a while after its upload, look on my channel to see if the video already exists. But anyway, that's the end of this video. For extra cosplay content, follow my TikTok at ll_comics and my cosplay Instagram at thatoneweirdfriend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!